Costs are going up everywhere, from the grocery store to the gas station.
Up 7% this year, the worst inflation in 40 years. Americans are upset about it.
Inflation has eclipsed the coronavirus as their number one concern.
Used to buy bacon for $2.40 a pound. It spiked up to $6.
As inflation rose, government experts told us, don't worry, it's transitory.
I don't anticipate that inflation is going to be a problem.
In the end, it will be transitory.
Now they say,
I'm ready to retire the word transitory.
So what went wrong? Some politicians blame greedy corporations.
This is about price gouging.
Corporate greed.
Corporate greed.
Greed is constant.
Economist David Henderson studies inflation.
If it's greed, how do we explain when prices fall? Do oil companies just suddenly decide, I'm going to be less greedy?
That's why the price gouging claim is silly. Prices change because of supply and demand. Inflation results
from too much money chasing too few goods. So if government's spending more money, that's more money chasing too few goods.
The motion is adopted.
Government is spending more money.
$1.9 trillion COVID relief bill.
But because government has no money of its own, extra spending means politicians must borrow more, tax more, or create money out of thin air by printing it.
If a counterfeiter prints money and spends it, everyone understands what's wrong with that. Well, the Federal Reserve essentially is doing the same thing.
In the last few years, the Fed has printed more money than ever in history. That makes the money we have less valuable. So not only do I need more of these to buy something, but also people who save money lose what they've saved. At today's inflation rate, $10,000 in a savings account will, in just 20 years, be worth only $2,300. If you were counting on that money for retirement, you're screwed. And yet today's politicians on both sides want to spend more.
$738 billion in defense funding.
If we pass the other two things I'm trying to get done, we will in fact reduce inflation. Reduce inflation. Reduce inflation.
Biden's wrong. There's no economic theory that says when the government spends a huge amount more money, prices fall.
But people are worried, and many want government to do something.
If that leads us to price controls, it will be horrible.
Price controls have been tried before.
A freeze on all prices.
Seems like a simple solution. It's just intuitive to people. Yeah, inflation? Okay. Pass a law. Put a lid on prices.
It is intuitive, and that's where people's intuition goes wrong.
Because prices are not just money. They're information.
Prices are signals. People see prices as these artificial things. We economists see prices as things that guide people both as buyers and producers. And if you mess that up, you've really messed up the economy.
Price changes tell buyers what to avoid and sellers what to produce. When the price of face masks rose 2 years ago, that inspired producers to make more. When fewer people flew, it led to a cheap price bonanza. Flexible pricing gets suppliers to produce what people really need.
You think we have shortages now? Wait till we get price controls.
When President Nixon imposed them,
that's what caused those lineups for gasoline, which really were destructive.
It's ridiculous waiting online here.
We waited in line for hours.
Did you get gas today? Where'd you find it? Where do I go? Price controls are like saying it's really cold, and I'm going to solve that by breaking the thermometer.
This says it's freezing. I don't like being cold, so I'll fix it.
But it's actually worse than that, because breaking the thermometer at least doesn't make the temperature get colder, whereas price controls cause actual shortages.
Like empty supermarket shelves. People in Venezuela experienced that, and the price controls didn't stop inflation. In fact, it got much worse.
It's the oil-rich country's inflation rate at 270%.
700% this year.
400,000%.
In Zimbabwe,
President Robert Mugabe decided to change his country's economic policy.
He simply printed more money.
35 quadrillion Zim dollars. That's what $1 will cost you in Zimbabwe.
At the end, they were printing $100 trillion bills. Of course, nothing like this has happened here yet, and it most probably won't. But with politicians from both parties always wanting to spend more, it could happen here.